Hey, thanks for joining us and coming back to the channel. We're out here in the beautiful state of Alabama on a family vacation, and I got this idea and decided to do a short video. So it's gonna be really short, maybe like a first impression or not a complete review. So on the way out here, I thought, why not make this an all Fuji trip? So I recently got the Fuji X-T30, and I got it primarily to do stuff like this, go out with my family, take pictures, have fun, maybe do some light video, but really have kind of a really small form factor that was a little different than shooting with my Sony A7 III or A7 III. Something that was a little more fun, more tactile, and that I could just enjoy. But I had a friend who also had the GFX 50 from Fuji, and she said, hey, if you want to check that out and take it on your trip, maybe you can pull off some family pictures with that. So this trip has been a complete Fuji outing from a photography standpoint. So I'm shooting right now on an X-T30 with my Rode mic, and so if the audio is bad, I'm outside, I don't have a lapel mic or anything like that. I'm just doing the best that we have with the current situation. And as my primary stills photography camera, using this big behemoth, the Fuji GX50. So it's not the rangefinder, it's actually the first one that came out. 50 megapixel camera. So the first thing I would have to say is, when shooting it, the first thing I saw when getting the pictures back was it's almost 118 megs per raw file. These files are huge. I thought that my Sony was big with 89. 120 megs, 119, 120 megs per file. Really huge file. So I haven't had a chance to do much editing. Maybe when I get back to Atlanta, we'll do some editing and I'll talk through how it feels to edit them in Capture One, because of Fuji and wanting to shoot raw, I had to go and get Capture One. And so now I've purchased Capture One, I have it, and so I'll be using it for everything coming out of this. So shooting the GX50 is different. I know everybody uses tactile with Fuji, but that is the first thing I learned quickly. I have a 18-month-old daughter, and if you have any small children, you know they really don't sit still for long. So having to make the adjustments on the GXL or GFX and try to track a child was a little tricky. And so I think when I was shooting my wife, it was very simple. You know, they stand still. When I was shooting my nephew, it's very simple. He sits still. If you have to track a target or your target's moving around, this isn't really fast enough. So I'm still looking at the images, and I'll have some posted throughout the video to see what they look like. But yeah, just ease and speed of use. If you need to work fast, I don't think this is the one for you. In addition, one thing that I noticed was, and it may have been due to backlit situation, but I had a lot of misfocus with this camera. Way more than expected. You know, I would think I'm capturing the face, or I think it's locked on focus on something on the subject. And I didn't even use, I didn't even let it scan the entire picture. I picked the zonal, so I would put the box, and for those who haven't used Fuji, you basically have a cluster of 9 boxes, and then you can use the control nipple to move them around. So I'll put it on top of somebody's face and think I have focus, and then when I got back home and looked, it misfocused. It might have focused on the building in the background or something else. So that was surprising. I haven't had a chance to edit it, but the feel of it is nice. I like big cameras though. I've always enjoyed, like, my only criticism of the X-T30 is that it's almost too small. It's good for something to move around with quickly, but as far as really getting into like a long photo shoot, I actually prefer something bigger like this. I love the, and I know the Canons have it, but I love the screen on the top of it. I just like the way it looks personally. I don't, function wise, who cares? I just think it's a great little screen. images on the back of the camera, I like them. One thing I did notice, and this is less to do with Fuji and more to do with the fact that any photographer using equipment, you need to learn the equipment and tailor it to your style. I actually think that the screen on this camera probably isn't calibrated to the exposure that it produces. And so what I mean by that is that the brightness on the screen is probably turned up a little bit more. And because of that, you may think that you're shooting a picture brighter than you are. And so when you get it back into Capture One or your editing software, you'll notice that your pictures seem darker. It has less to do with the camera and more to do with you have to take time to calibrate the screen to the exposure of the camera to make sure that you're getting a 1-for-1. So that the benefits of shooting mirrorless and seeing what you're going to get actually does that. And so that's something I noticed when just doing a quick glance through of all the pictures. Woo. I'm shooting with the 63 millimeter for this camera, and so 63 millimeters on this medium format camera translates to a 50 millimeter on a normal 35 millimeter camera. And I really wanted to just try medium format digital to see what it feels like. I have the 46 megapixel Sony A7 III, which megapixel wise is close, but this just has a much bigger sensor. Matter of fact, let's see if we can just real quick, you can see that sensor is massive in comparison to a normal. Hurry up and put that back on there. The sensor is massive in comparison to your normal 35 millimeter sensor, or even this Fuji X-T30 APC sensor, which is peanuts in comparison. So you're really paying for that larger sensor to have more room to capture everything. Ergonomics, I like it. I would love to shoot, well, I didn't have enough time to figure out how to do the manual mode where you don't have to do the dials for everything. And I think if I would have figured that out, I probably could have been a lot faster. But again, I'm on vacation, I'm borrowing equipment just to do a quick review. So it's less to do with the camera and more to do with user error. I think if I had this for a couple of weeks and did multiple shoots with it, I am 100% sure I could get this dialed in and I could be a monster on this camera because it's all there. I think it's all there. 50 megapixels, medium format. I'm talking a 2.8 lens, which the equivalent in 35 millimeter is even shallower than that. So the bokeh on this is amazing. You have the natural colors that Fuji produces, which is another reason I wanted to try this out. Matter of fact, I'm gonna see if I can schedule a shoot while I have it to go do a shoot with somebody, maybe do some headshots out and about, just to get a feel of doing a complete shoot with this camera. I have families here that I wanted to do family shoots with them, but we're on vacation. I'm not making somebody take pictures, but hopefully that'll be the next portion of it. But just as a quick review in the hands, it feels great. It's definitely heavy. When you hold it and you walk around with this, with the GFX, it feels like you're ready to put in some work. This is it doesn't feel amateur. This not an amateur hour camera because one, you have to be really dialed in with it. Two, this is massive. It's a lot of weight on this one. I haven't got into any other shooting. I know you can do video on it and things of that nature. I'm not really interested in any of that. I wanted to do natural light on this, pictures on the beach, use the film emulations that come out of the Fuji, use some of those Fuji nice, soft, pale tones on the beach and maybe overexpose it just a little so it's slightly washed out. All right, so take two. The camera cut off either from overheating or some other reason, so I need to check up on that X-T30 to figure out why it shut off on me. But kind of jumping back into my thoughts on the GFX 50, amazing camera, 50 megapixels, huge medium format sensor. We were able to get some amazing pictures. Now what I did learn is it's not really a running gun style camera. You know, with my With my Sonys, I can kind of flip through the settings extremely fast. It'll kick off 10 frames a second. I can track small children running across the beach, no problem. This, you're gonna have to slow down. It feels more like a studio monster, something where you can sit there, take your time, get the picture, lock it in, and keep it moving. As mentioned before, I also did notice that it had some issues with backlit focusing, or I don't know, maybe it's just the issue in focusing in general. There were a lot of pictures where it just wasn't in focus. So I'll listen to it, it'll chime as if it was in focus, but then when I reviewed the picture was out of focus. So I don't know if that's the experience that everybody has with the GFX, but that is something I noticed. I like the weight. It is a heavier camera, but I like that because of it. I like the heftiness of it. It feels like you're shooting something different. You know, although it's mirrorless, it's thick, like the old school DSLR. What do I mean, old school DSLRs? But yeah, it's a fun camera to use, and I think it's been a great experience to shoot all Fuji. You know, I use Sony's as my workhorse cameras, and to come out here and just say I'm only gonna bring Fuji cameras, and lucked up on picking up the big brother, the biggest brother to the XT30. Yeah, it's been a great trip. Fun using this. As I mentioned before, I'll probably see if I can go on Facebook or some other platform and see if I can get some models to maybe do some headshots with this to kind of see it in a more controlled environment when I'm not chasing my kids around, to really see how it performs. But I have been so far very impressed with this. I actually did some product photography with this also. Had a couple of products we wanted to shoot, set it up in a nice bathroom, did some pictures, and they came out well. I'm gonna go back and edit them again. I haven't edited any of these pictures I've shot with this camera, so I'll see what happens when I edit it. If it's something weird, then I'll probably come back and extend the video. If not, then thanks for watching. This is just a quick review of the Fuji GFX 50 from a Sony shooter's point of view. You know what? I'm not even gonna say from a Sony shooter. I don't consider myself a Sony shooter, although I own some Sony cameras. I consider myself a photographer. I started with Canon, moved to Sony. Now I own a Fuji. I shoot whatever feels good in my hand, and this definitely does. I do want to do a side-by-side comparison with the A7 III because they both have similar number of pixels, to see what is the difference between the two. But we'll see what happens. But all in all, I've enjoyed it. It is an interesting experience. It's something that I enjoy, and it just feels different. It doesn't feel like everything else out there. This is a really big camera, and it feels big when you're shooting. It feels like you need to go shoot something great. So that's what we're gonna do. Until next time, if you like the channel, please subscribe, hit the like button, all that good stuff. Otherwise, thank you. Talk to you later.